Let's get salty!
Hey everyone, Zeddy here again today with a brand new video, and as I promised last week, I have an updated best decks video. There was 30 plus balance changes last week, so things were bound to change, and a good amount has in both standard and wild, so I have decks to recommend that I feel like you can confidently climb with, whether it be getting to silver, gold, platinum, diamond, or legend for the very first time. And as always, I've reverse clickbaited, and we have 12 standard decks and 5 wild decks for you to try. And if you enjoy the content on the channel and feel like I've earned your subscription, please hit that sub button down below. Give the video a like, it helps us out a lot as we're on the road to 82,000 subscribers. Maybe I'll get a life when we do that. Nah, that'll never happen. Anyways, let's take a look at the deck. First, the top two haven't really changed like at all. Hunter, Warrior, still pretty much the best decks in the game. If you want to climb, these are two of the best ones to go with right away. Token Hunter, all about spamming the board with a lot of early game, whether it's your one drops, your Awakened Tremors, your remote control weapon, your RC Rampage, which just fills the board up. You can cheat out possibly a Zilliax with the ticking module and the pylon module, and then slap a saddle up, which gives you beasts that cost 3 or less and murder your opponent, whether it's through damage from Jungle Gym, kill command, or just, you know, all the minions you have on the board that your opponent can't remove. It's extremely effective at basically across all ranks, even high legend. It does pretty darn well. It's a deck you just cannot go wrong with at all. And next we have the bane of everyone's existence. Yes, Reno Warrior, arguably the best deck in the game, definitely up there. It is definitely polarized, warped the meta specifically around it. It feels like you're either playing to beat it or play to beat its counters. Like there's not much else going for that, and that has stayed true. So maybe, just maybe, this Deep Miner Brann card can get nerfed at some point, but right now you play him, your battle cries are doubled for the rest of the game. That includes your Inventor Boom, which can summon a bunch of mechs. That includes Reno, clears the board twice. That doesn't really make much of a difference, but of course, Boom Boss Thogrid, which now shuffles the TNT to your opponent's deck, and it's still just really toxic and basically does the same thing. And what's that really a nerf? Sometimes it's a buff. It's ridiculous. And yeah, you got all your removal, armor gain, card draw, extremely effective deck, very targeted deck, but still, it's hard to beat this deck, especially when you get that perfect draw into Brann, into all your battle cries, into your excavates. It is really difficult to stop, and we all hope that maybe Brann will change at some point, because Reno Warrior, outside of that, I think it's a really cool deck. It's just the Brann part, really kind of gross. Next, we have Flood Paladin has emerged as one of the other top tier decks out there where you flood the board, whether it be Showdown, a Minding Casualties, a Muster for Battle. You can like turn 2 or 3. I'll put a screenshot of Cantaloupe's turn 3 with like Showdown and Sea Giants and Zilliaxes, because you have the ticking module, the pylon module. It lets you trade your Showdowns to plus 1 health on your opponent. It's disgusting. It's really good. Once you kind of lose that board, though, it's kind of harder to come back. No Amethyst in the version. It is all in on the aggression. Flash Sale, one of the newer cards in there as well. Pretty solid to get things going in your Trinket Artist to draw that Crusader's aura. Once you get that big board going, basically a permanent Savage Roar that buffs health too. Like, what is this card? But yeah, Flood Paladin, really good. Remember when Paladin got nerfed like 5 times at the beginning of the set? It's back to being tier 1. That didn't take very long. Speaking of getting nerfed and still being like one of the best decks in the game, yeah, Zarimi Priest, still absolutely one of the best decks in the game. It's very similar to the pre-nerf version. Main difference is we need a couple more dragons to get to that 8 now. So we got 1 copy of Clay Matriarch, which is effectively 4 dragons in 1 card, because you get the 3/7, the 4/4, the mini, which is a 1-mana 1/1 with taunt, and a 4/4. It's a really annoying minion to deal with. You got late game in here with Amanthul, and you also could just reload with the Hearthstone Brew, getting an iconic hand from the past. The deck has the capability of just getting ridiculous openers, whether it's Crimson Clergy, Funnel Cake, and all your 0-mana Thirsty Drifters, along with your Pip the Potent. This deck basically does it all and is one of the best out there. Next, we have Hybrid Druid, which is emerged as a legitimate like tier 2, tier 3 deck, which combines like the dragons of the world, your gift wrap whelps, your splish splash whelp, you got Desert Nest Matron, Chia Drake. You combine that with like the spell damage package, whether it's the bottomless toy chest, the magical dollhouse, all the swipes, and you also combine it with like the hero power stuff with your groovy cats and Peaceful Piper. It all comes together. It's a lot of damage. You can flood the board, and you got your Woodland Wonders location on 1, play a 2-mana 4/10 of taunt on 2. It's pretty hard to come back from that. And of course, I have a feeling the ticking module might get changed at some point because it emerges in like every single deck right now. Ziliax with the Pylon module, ticking module, very aggressive. And then you got late game damage like Gem Tosser, just is so much damage. Give me 3 mana, deal 10 if you're at 10 mana. Ridiculous amount of damage this deck can push out and is trending very well. We have another Druid deck. Druid finally coming back this patch. Dragon Druid, which is pretty unchanged, not that much different than the prior versions, but it's just really solid. It can, of course, Pylon module, ticking module with your Ziliax. You have your buffed Sky Mother Aviana in there for what could be incredible value to try to compete with like those warriors and like Magatha it out and get a bunch of 1-mana legendaries. Can be really strong. You've got value, of course, with Dragon Tails, where you can get like a Zarimi for an extra turn, Celestial Projectionist to just get out more cheap stuff, and your Dragon Golem just to flood the board with buffed up dragons. If you like your dragons, you want to show off your Phi signature if you happen to have it. Yes, Dragon Druid is doing pretty darn well. Reno Hunter, we highlighted just yesterday. Again, the sample size are very low on it, but again, everywhere I've been looking, it's performing well. It's really fun. I'm going to recommend it as like a tier 3 kind of option out there to be able to play Mystery Egg and cheat out your King Plushes, your Thunderbringers, bring them back with Stranglethorn Heart. You've got your Ziliax with ticking module and perfect module, so more of a defensive approach. And yeah, this deck has proven to be very good and also just proven to be a lot of fun. I'm enjoying it, at least. I think it's really cool, so I'm going to throw that as a recommendation. 2 Warlock decks have emerged since the Wheel Warlock has died. Much more on the aggressive side. All the controlling style Warlock decks feel pretty dead. First, we have Sludge Warlock, which again, throwback to the Sludge Warlock that came out like the prior set. It's still pretty much the same thing. We're now running Demonic Studies because the demon pool pretty darn good for it. Lets you cheat out other demons like a Waste Remover earlier, possibly. You have incredible reach with Chaos Creation still. Even nerfed, it can deal like 5 times 4 damage, right? Plus the 5 on top of it. Can be a lot of stuff. We have Ziliax not using ticking module, rather just a bunch of stats to try and get, this is what this deck likes to do. Play a lot of stats, play your Craze Conductor. You can get a big heal with Popgar, Crescendo. And yeah, if you've played this at all, Sludge Warlock before, it's basically the same deal, just with a couple of pieces moved around. The other Warlock deck that has emerged, has picked up in popularity, is Fatigue Warlock. And this can do an insane amount of damage through the 3-mana card, Encroaching Insanity, which both players take fatigue damage twice. You can avoid taking that fatigue yourself with a Void Virtuoso, with a Fellstring Harp, and you can also shuffle in extra copies with a Photographer Fizzle for those warrior matchups of the world. And you have damage in here with like your Trog Gem Tosser. You've got Craze Conductor, which can get a lot of stats on the board if you've played your fatigue cards. This is more one of those hate decks out there, but if that is your style, Fatigue Warlock has proven to be one of the better performing decks on the ladder. And Ziliax, again, ticking perfect module to get some health back if you've been damaging yourself just a little bit too much. Next, we have the one rogue deck I will recommend. There's been some APM Sonya lists popping up, but the numbers aren't promising on them. They're just rage-inducing to face. You might see that from my Twitter account, but Mining Rogue, definitely a good deck, all about excavating, getting that reward, getting a bunch of random spells. Drilly the Kid, you can tutor out with Pit Stop, so you can go like prep Pit Stop into Drilly, possibly play it in the same turn. You could also instead decide to cheat out a Ziliax with that pit stop as well, which has perfect module and ticking module. And you have Sonya in here where you could do like shenanigans with her to get more value out of those spells, those cheap spells, or like just manipulate your minions like the Scorpion itself with a Sandbox Scoundrel to be 1 mana and get more Scorpions. So this deck could pretty much have infinite value at times, and it's a lot of random nonsense, and it's a deck that is performing really well. So if you like more of that burgle, insane, random crap and spam that Shadow Step card that I love so much, this is absolutely a rogue deck for you. And the last 2 decks I will recommend here, Reno Shaman. Theo put out a guide on this deck, I think pretty similar to this build if you want to check that out. Shout out to, wait, don't watch this video. I don't know why I'm linking it. Definitely don't have it in the description below. But yes, Reno Shaman. Again, Theo took this to like top 10 legend at one point. Has done pretty well. Struggles against those Reno Warriors, of course. But of course, in itself, you got Dr. Holiday for the larger and larger frogs. The recently buffed Hagatha is just proven to be really good when you can shutter block a Wish Upon a Star, where almost no deck can compete with those stats. It's so many stats if you can get that high roll going. And you just got a lot of cool late game cards. Of course, Yogg, Reno, you got Golganeth. Overall, I really like this deck. One of my favorite of the meta. It just sucks that, yeah, unfortunately, Brann Warrior can be a pain, but sometimes we can get our ETC out, get that Dirty Rat, Dehydrate, or Viper out, and possibly beat them down. Dirty Rat that Brann, although I feel like it's still a struggle. That deck has so much value. They don't need Brann. The last shopper, Demon Hunter, is like tier 1, tier 2, really good deck still. It's caught up with all the recent changes with everything going on. Literally the deck is Umpire's Grasp, tutor out that window shopper, get it cheap, get, you know, a big demon like a Megtherodon to deal AoE, and then you can just push more damage with like Metamorphosis, get through taunts with Kane Sun Fury. Ball Hog is an incredible card. The Spirit, one of the only good ones in Hearthstone. Of course, they make it good this time around with Power Creep, but overall, really solid deck. If you're looking to play Demon Hunter, pretty fun, and Ziliax has got the Pylon module and ticking module. How many times have I said that? So that is a lot of standard decks you can try out. Mage and Deathlight just don't really feel like they make the competitive cut. You can try Rainbow, but it just, all these decks feel a lot better than it. And Mage, Spell Mage is not working, and the oil nerf to Sif just has not made it competitive. So I just can't recommend a Deathlight or Mage deck at the moment, and that makes me really sad, as 2 of those are my favorite classes in the game. For Wild, I can recommend a Mage deck, but first, we're gonna recommend Pyro, one of the best aggro decks in the whole format. You know, smart down. You got the new card in here like Toy Boat. You can buff up your Swordfish with the Harmonic Hip Hop. You just got infinite card draw. You got Cold Bloods for more reach, and you got a Ziliax for just stats. That's what this deck's about. Aggression, stats. You got Haywire module, Power module, and overall, very fast, very aggressive deck. It is definitely a way to go. We have the Demon Seed Warlock really picking up steam again lately, where you kill your opponent, playing this stupid freaking United and Stormwind questline, the Demon Seed, get your Crystallizer, get your Cobalt Librarian, raise dead them, get your quest done, and then you kill your opponent in Fatigue, whether through Chamber of Visitus, Furnace Fuels, Hand of Gul'dans, and you even play Phenomenum in here because you draw your deck so fast with all the card draw, and fracking also really helps you get there. And for some reason, there's a list running Rat, and I got ratted today facing this, but I did beat the Demon Seed, and we'll talk about what deck I was able to do that with. Was not this. This is even Paladin, which has just proven to be a really solid deck in the meta. It can disrupt with Rebuke and Nurubar Weblord. I don't think I ever say that right. Flood the board with Call to Arms, buff it with Crash Sale, Crusader Aura. You got healing with your Tigress plushie. You can just push a bunch of damage with your Horn of the Windlord. And of course, we have our Pylon module and our ticking module in our even Paladin deck. We also have the deck that I was able to beat the Demon Seed with. Hero Power Mage has emerged as a pretty decent deck. I played it all day today. It is a grind. This deck has to grind out wins, but it's got like a billion stall tools, whether it's Ice Block, Solid Alibi, Frost Nova, and you want to amplify your hero power with Wildfire, and you have some pretty good combos in here that work really well, like Sing Along Buddy with Brann, and your Reckless Apprentice just does an insane amount of damage. It will trigger the battle cry twice each time with Reckless, and of course you have Dawn Grasp in there to help scale your hero power and Mordresh for a big finisher, your potions to copy it up, and yeah, this deck does some work. The ETC I have here is like the greediest thing ever. Sticky Finger, Playbreaker, and Theotar. You can see what kind of deck this is. The games are long, and yeah, you can win. You can get 619 armor like I did just earlier today. It was pretty absurd. And lastly, yeah, Egg Hunter. It seems legit. It's like a tier 1, tier 2 deck probably. It's gonna get further refined, but yeah, you get that mystery egg going, and basically you can go infinite with your Lion, your Princess Ahurahan, Tundra Rhino. Kill your opponent. They can't really remove the board. If they somehow do, you get the mini egg. You can bring the egg back with your 9 lives, and it's really hard to deal with it. You can kill them with the charge damage, and yeah, this deck seems legitimate. Again, it's weak to like some disruption, hyper aggro, but certainly a deck worth giving a go. So there you go. Should be our last deck recommendation video until the mini set comes out. We're expecting it to be announced next week, so we'll see how that goes. Hopefully it happens, or we're gonna be stuck with nothing to talk about. Anyways, if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Have a great day and stay salty, my friends.